Welcome to Hard Hats and Horizons, the podcast where we dig deep into the construction and economic development shaping the future of Dallas-Fort Worth. We bring you insights from industry leaders and visionaries who are driving growth in North Texas. From construction projects to industry trends and insights, we cover it all. So grab your hard hat and join us as we explore the people and projects shaping the skyline of DFW. Now, here is your host, Andrea Pender.
Okay, well, we are going to get started today on the Hard Hats and Horizons podcast. And today I have Prama Kumar with us, and she is the Vice President of Pre-Construction with Hill Wilkinson. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me here, Andrea. I think your podcasts have been great. I've watched quite a few of them, so I'm really happy to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, why don't you start us off and tell people that might not already know, tell us a little bit about Hill Wilkinson.
All right. So Hill Wilkinson is a full-service general construction company founded in 1968. It was, over the years we've grown. It was founded by Luther Hill. Greg Wilkinson and Fritz McKinstry joined him a few years later, and there was a period of time that they worked together, and eventually it became Hill and Wilkinson. Started off as Luther Hill Construction, and then it became Hill and Wilkinson when Greg and Fritz took over. That was in 1999, and over the years we've grown, we've diversified, and here we are today.
Nice. And how long have you been at Hill and Wilkinson?
I joined the company in 2004, so it's been almost 22 years.
Nice. What made you choose, I'm assuming right out of college, to join the firm?
Not right out of college. So I did my bachelor's in India in architecture. I've completed my 5 years there, and I did work for a little bit after that. And then I wanted to do my master's. I wanted to stay in construction, but not in architecture. I figured out pretty quick design was not my forte or even my passion, right? You got to have that passion to be an architect. And my mother is an architect. And even then I was like, no, I need to get out. But I wanted to stay in construction. So I started looking at the construction management career. So I joined a construction management program in India. That was very industrial, very infrastructure oriented. Did not suit me really well, but then I had a few friends at Texas A&M who were pursuing their masters there, and through those friends I did apply to Texas A&M and thankfully found a spot there. I came there, did my master's in construction management. Eventually, after graduation, I got a job in Tyler for a little construction company. I was there for a year and a half, and then made my way to Dallas.
Nice. What was that like going from India to Texas?
It was interesting, right? Now, India is just like the U.S. It's a big country, but a lot more people.
Right.
A lot more people. I think it's 1/3 the size, but 3 times the number of people. So you can imagine the difference. But I grew up in a small state called Goa. Goa is the smallest state, or at that time it was the smallest state in India, and it was very laid back. So my life, I think, was not the typical hustle bustle of Mumbai or any other big city or like New York City. It was very laid back. It's a beach town. You enjoy the ocean whenever you want. Seafood is great. It's a party town. So I grew up there. So coming from there to College Station, in terms of, the laid-back aspect of it wasn't that much of a change, but it's still different. The culture is still different, right? So I think I fit in pretty well. And then I stuck. I love Texas, so I just stuck here. So for me, it was not too bad of a change.
Okay. I'm reading a book right now, and as soon as you started saying that, I was like, oh, I forgot this book is all based in India. And one of the characters just did a little vacation to Goa.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, oh my gosh,
Okay,
now I need to pull out a map and actually look at it. That's funny. Well, and good for you for making those decisions, because so many people this is where I'm going to stay. It's too scary to make these big moves. And I mean, I just moved from Indiana to Florida and then Florida to Texas, but it's still like leaving your comfort zone. I always say, I feel like everybody should have an experience like that, where you go from one place to another and you kind of have to start over and you don't know anybody. I think it's a good growth opportunity for people. Yeah. That's interesting. What are some of your key moments or challenges that you have had along the way?
So right off the gate, when I came to Texas A&M in early 2001. Of course, 9/11 happened, and that was a tough time. to be in a different country, right? And to want to make it your place, your home, but it's still a new country for you. So at that time, getting a job was pretty challenging. And you're in this situation where you need a job because your student visa is expiring. So I was very fortunate. And, one of my professors at A&M recommended me to a small construction company in Tyler, and that's where I started. And you need somebody to sponsor you, and they agreed to sponsor me. And so I think it's a lot, just timing, fortune, luck, having the right mentors by your side. It all, comes together, and it just made sense to me, and it worked out.
I'm guessing maybe the times and things have changed over the years, but are those good for a certain amount of time, or like how does that work? Your student visa versus your working visa?
Yeah, it's all time related and employment related. A student visa is valid for your during your course of your
Schooling.
Your schooling, and then your work visa is valid for a certain amount of time till you need somebody to sponsor you for a green card. So it's a process, and it's a very set process. I think it's a step-by-step process to make this country a home.
Nice. It's always interesting because I feel like I have kind of a mix of everybody coming on the podcast. And so it's interesting to kind of hear people's stories, especially when it's a little different than I grew up in Texas and got a job in Texas, So yeah. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about mentorship.
Okay.
How has that helped you, or have you participated in being a mentor? Talk about how that's been a part of your life.
Okay. I think it's really important as young professionals coming into any industry to find the right mentor, right? When I came to Hill Wilkinson, Kevin Sellers, the chief estimator at that time at Hill Wilkinson, he's retired now. He spent a lot of time with me. It wasn't a formal mentor-mentee relationship, but he was so good at teaching and explaining things, not just about work and estimating and professional skills, but also about leadership and also about relationships and stuff like that. So again, he spent a lot of time with me and other people like me in the office. But on the flip side, we also gave him that time and effort and, and that respect that, hey, we are willing to give you the time as well. So I think it's a relationship. It's not just the mentor giving or mentee taking. It has to be a two-way relationship. But that's really important, I think. That really helped me in my career. That has helped several others in my position or above me at Hill Wilkinson. So that's huge. Over the years, I've tried to give back. I've tried to be part of mentor-mentee programs through Trek and elsewhere. So I hope that has helped other people.
I'm sure it has. It's always nice because I run a mentor-protege program, and I just put the pairs together and then off they go. But it's always nice to hear how much the mentor gets out of it, just as much as the protege gets out of it. And there's a few girls that I meet with on a regular basis now, and I leave every meeting with some good piece of information that I can take back to my team. Like, oh, I forgot. Like it's been a minute since I asked that question and I forgot, but I bet there's other people in the office that question could be floating around to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know that's always an important thing. Let's see. Let's talk about some industry trends.
Okay.
What are you guys seeing right now? And you can answer that however you want. But what are some industry trends you're seeing right now?
Everybody's talking about it, right? AI. So it seems like AI is the big trend everywhere. I think change is a constant, right? They say, if anything, it's change that's always
the only thing.
That's the only constant. So I think right now, especially today, it's never been so important to adapt to change, to adapt to what's coming. I think that's huge. As estimators, I think we are by nature a little more reluctant to change, just because we like to sit at our desks and do the takeoff and call subs and just do
your
the
job.
same thing every day, right? It's repetition that's what makes us better. But it's changed right now that we have to somehow, hold on to it and say, okay, it's okay to change. It's okay to get outside of the box and try something new. Because it's there. AI is here. Technology is here. In fact, we as a company, last year, we decided we're going to move on from, in our estimating department, we're going to move out of Excel to an estimating software.
Okay.
This year is the year for us. We've started implementation just a week back. 2026 is the year for our big change within estimating.
Yeah. So you're a weekend. How's it going?
Weekend.
Is it scary?
It is
Is it
scary.
good?
It is scary, exciting. It's everything.
Mhm.
It's just a whole lot of
I
mixed
think
feelings.
that's with any kind of change, you have to have the mindset of, okay, they say that this is going to be better, and then you have
Right.
to follow through and do the thing. But I feel like it's one of those, it's a painful process too.
It is. And
Mhm.
it's a balance, right? So I think you don't want to change for the sake of change. So it's a balance. You want to find the right timing, right team, right leadership, right. I mean, everything has to be in place, especially for a big change like this.
Well, and you probably spent a lot of time researching whatever this technology is or software is, to make the change.
Right.
So, and how many people do you have on your estimating team?
So we have right now 20. I'm going to scroll down. I think I made a note of this.
Good. Yeah.
Somewhere. You can do a search on this. Let's see. We have 24 pre-construction team.
Nice.
And I'm really proud to say we have about 30% women estimators in our company.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Which is not very common.
Yeah.
At least not when I started. I don't think it's very common in a lot of other places. So I'm really proud to say
That's
Hill
really
Wilkinson
great.
has invested in hiring and retaining women
Nice.
in leadership positions.
What do you think they're doing different, or what do you think you guys are doing different or better in order to keep those women and hire those women?
I think a number of things have come together. I think we've always had a culture of it's a big company with a small business mindset, right? So we've always been family oriented. We've always had the fortune of providing a good work-life balance and family culture. I think that has helped retain women. We have also provided avenues for growth for women. We have a group of women that are part of the female organization at Hill and Wilkinson that meets every month for different,
that's great.
whether it's topics they talk about or it's coffee meetings or it's Kristen Ortiz leads that and she's doing a wonderful job. Yeah. It's called Women Breaking Ground, I believe.
I have a sticker on my hard hat. Somebody gave it to me.
Yeah.
I forget who got it, but I stuck it on my hard hat. So somebody from Hill and Wilkinson recently gave that to me. I love it.
Yeah, Kristen Ortiz has really done a great job creating this culture of having fun just outside of our day-to-day rigmarole jobs. And that has helped retain women.
Well, and so over the last probably 2 years, I feel at a lot of the women's organizations, there's a lot of companies that don't have maternity leave. They've never had a woman on staff who has a baby. And so there's been a lot of time, I think, invested over the last couple years on, hey, what do we do? Like, we need to have a plan in place before this happens. A, because you just need to have a plan. But B, what happens when we do hire this wonderful young woman who then starts a family? Like, we can't be like, I don't know, what do we do? And so I think we're kind of at this cusp right now where there's enough women entering the workforce where it's going to have to be a discussion. But I would say every few months at my Ladies in CRE breakfast, it comes up where, hey, my company doesn't have a plan.
Really?
Can you share what you have? Because we have nothing. And they're typically smaller companies, and it's like, well, you have to start somewhere. So I know we're doing an expansion on the office. And I said, well, if we're doing an expansion on the office, then we need to have one of these like little conference rooms. It can be a phone room, but it's going to have to be a nursing mother's room. It can be multi-purpose. It doesn't have to just be empty unless we need it, but we are going to need that at a certain point in time. So
when I joined, it was different. I mean, we have a mother's room now, and and it is just a mother's room, which is nice, especially when you have multiple nursing mothers on staff. It's important that we have that.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
the things I don't think about because I don't have kids. I never even thought about that. Gosh, yeah. So we need more than one.
But it is important that companies embrace this.
And I think we're there. Like, I think that
absolutely.
Well, and even the young men, they're taking time off more so than like when I was born. I don't know how much time my dad took off because that wasn't what you did back then. And so I know we do have a parental, what's the
paternity leave?
Paternity leave. Yeah. We do have that because we have more guys out here than we do gals. But what's really interesting is We're about to pull some stats for Women in Construction Week when that's in March.
Yes.
That's probably when this is going to be coming out. But we have a lot of ladies out in the field. So I don't know what the stat is, but there's a lot more women out in the field than people realize. So that's kind of exciting.
I need to pull the stat for our ops staff, women ops staff, and see what that percentage is. I haven't done that. That'll be interesting to see because we do have a fair number of PMs and PEs in the field now and leadership as well.
That's exciting. What are some challenges that you guys either like it can be a personal challenge that you're having at work or a company-wide challenge? What's something that you guys are seeing right now that's a challenge?
From a company perspective, I think a challenge, I think it's also an opportunity, right? As we move from a pre-AI world to an AI world, pre so much technology to so much technology world, I think one of the challenges and the opportunities we have is how do we develop soft skills, especially with our pre-construction staff, right? That is very, I mean, a lot of us are introverts, right? By nature of, and that's why we are in this business, in this line of work. So how do we change that? How do we make ourselves and train ourselves, train the next generation to get out there, right? And use and develop soft skills because at some point there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be automated. I mean, and it seems like it's going to be sooner than later. So how can we be a lot more efficient with our time and a lot more effective? How can we provide more value with all this technology coming?
Right. And all of that comes back to relationships.
Absolutely. It's relationships.
And so if they can get out from behind that computer, that's going to help a lot. I haven't given it in a long time, but I have a whole presentation all about business development. So if you want me to come in and talk to your estimators, I'm happy to do that.
I would love that.
And it has like a section in there where it's like literally put it on your phone. These are 5 basic questions. Stick it in your back pocket, review it before you go into a meeting where it's just easy conversation things. Where are you from? Do you have any kids? Where'd you go to college? But sometimes you get scared. If you don't want to be there, you're like, oh gosh, I know I have these questions, but what were they? And so I always tell my team, like, literally put them on a notes tab in your phone, pull it out before you walk in. But I have a bunch of tips and suggestions.
Because for our pre-construction department, we do twice a year, we have a little gathering, happy hour, social, whatever you want to call it. And we're always looking for fun topics to cover, leadership development.
Happy to present on
stuff for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think you've met Luis in our office, but he and I just teamed up. We have a new thing called Carrco Edge, and it's all of our like emerging leaders in the office.
Okay.
And so Luis and I just did, it started at 8 and I think we finished at 2:30. But we presented all about emotional intelligence.
Wow. Okay.
I've never presented for that long.
That's
and
awesome.
so I was like, whoa, this took a long time. But that was a really interesting presentation too, because so many people, they might hear what you're saying, but are your arms crossed and your face wrinkled? Like you might say, fine. Well, hopefully you're reading that this is not a good fine, but some people may say, oh, like he said fine.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. So that's like another skill set that's, we're having to develop a lot, I think, with people that are used to being behind the screens.
And you don't teach that in school, especially in our typical degrees, engineering, construction. You don't teach that.
I feel like I told you this, so I apologize if I'm repeating, but I'm on the board for the School of Communications at Purdue. So it's been a few years ago, they actually added a minor specifically for engineering students in communications.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So I'm like, gosh, if those kids come out, they're going to be unicorns.
They will be, yes.
So
yes. Estimators, yes, but engineers,
even more so, right? That's an interesting thing. Yeah. I mean, we all have the AI. We can click a button, get answers really quick, but we still have to be able to do this kind of thing. Yeah.
You got to be. And on the personal level, I think challenges and opportunities. I have a 12-year-old boy. Having a child and raising a child makes work seem so easy.
Right. You have 2?
I have just one.
You have just one. Why did I make you have 2?
Just one boy.
And he's in Scouts.
He's in Scouts.
Yes. So what are we doing right now with Scouting?
He wants to be an Eagle Scout. So let's see.
Nice.
Let's see. That's exciting. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Let's see how far he gets.
Is there like a timeline? Do they have to have that done like by the time they're 16?
18.
Okay.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a lot. And I know I've seen a handful of grown-ups walking through our neighborhood with, like, big backpacks, and I've asked a couple of them, like, "You're on the North Haven Trail, like, where are you going with this backpack?" And every single one of them, and I'm asking just at random times, but every single time I've asked, they're like, "Oh, I'm prepping because I'm going with my either son or grandson on whatever this big Boy Scout hike is." And so they're just like, I know that I'm gonna have to get some weight in a backpack."
Yeah, we did that. We've not done any big hikes yet, but in September of last year, we did a backpacking trip. We went to Oklahoma. We had to carry our tents and sleeping bags and everything. We were supposed to walk 5 miles in, but we walked 7.1 miles in.
Whoa.
And then sleep and wake up and come back.
That's exciting.
It was fun.
Yeah. What's the next big Boy Scout
I don't
event?
know. We'll
We
see.
don't have one
We'll
yet?
see. Not yet.
Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. That's cool. What are you most passionate about in your job?
I believe I'm passionate about the people.
Okay,
I
nice.
think so. I think I enjoy working with people. And this comes back to, I think every organization should do one of those, the tests. What's it called?
Like a strengths finder?
Yeah, strength finder
like a
test.
personality
Right.
kind of thing?
Personality test.
Uh-huh.
We've done it several times. And it's important to know what your strengths are.
Right.
I always feel there was a quote somebody said once. I think it was Michael Dell, know your strengths and hide your weaknesses.
Yes.
But I think it's so
Love that.
important to know your strengths because when I was growing up, we always said, yeah, you got to work on those weaknesses.
Right.
But why? You got to surround yourself
Yep.
with people that will help with your
Yep.
weaknesses, right? Because you got to keep developing your strengths and spend more time on your strengths. That's the only way we're going to develop.
Yes. So this was not this past December. So a year ago, December, we had hired Norma Lehman to come in and do the Strengths Finders test with all of us. And so then we had her come in every few months to do a kind of a follow-up training with that. And our name tags have our strengths on them.
Nice.
And so that's something that I'm really hoping to like really dive in a little bit deeper because we've hired new people, but I think you have to have that continual education on, okay, what are those strengths? And I know there's been a few times where I've gone to Chat GPT where I'm like, okay, these are my top strengths. This is their top strengths. What's the best way that we can work together? Because people are different. And so if you aren't communicating, if it's not working, what can we do to make it work?
Right.
You know?
So we do the DISC assessment, and every new employee has to go through and know their DISC ratings. We've all done that, and we do that as individuals. They also do DISC assessments with teams.
Yes.
So you know if you have the right
like
team and how you can complement each other.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to do it. You know, for me, when I'm in estimating, I've always been in pre-construction, but over the years I've realized I'm not a very detailed person. I don't know how I'm in estimating, but that's not my strength. My strength is more, just higher level and be able to help people with their strengths. So I think, thankfully, I'm in the right spot now. I'm in the right place in my career right now where I can help people.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important. Yeah,
Right.
that's good. That's good.
Yep.
That's something that we're trying to get implemented is to get everybody to take the Strengths Finder, but then it's like we have to have that continual education so they know, okay, now we have this piece of paper. What do we do with it?
Right. Right. Exactly.
What are some of your future goals?
My future goals at work? Interesting. I've never thought about, I should think about that more. What are my future goals at work?
What are your future goals in personal?
Okay. So, I have a 12-year-old boy. So put him in the right position. Somebody told me you're not raising a child, you're raising an adult.
Okay,
So
I like that.
I'm like, how do I make him a successful adult, right? So especially we're living in times where I don't understand what he does. I don't understand the YouTube stuff that he watches and why he watches stuff for that. I'm like, golly. So I think that's my goal, to make him a successful adult. So one of them. Of course, I don't know if I mentioned it to you earlier. Back in 2020, my son joined karate classes before 2020.
That's right.
And back in 2020 during COVID, I always, as a kid, wanted to join martial arts, and I never did. So for various reasons, I joined the class. They have adult programs over there.
I'm so glad to hear that because the last we talked about it, you were talking about that. So.
That's right. So that's my goal for this year. They've got me on the calendar to get my black belt this year. So
I
see,
love it.
we're working on it.
I love it. That's exciting.
Yes,
I feel like we talked about this.
I think so.
I'm a second-degree black belt.
Man, oh man.
And no pressure, but that black belt test was, I think, to this day, the hardest thing I've ever done before in my life. It was just, but I knew all of it. So it was just that mental prep of going in, and then you go through the thing and you know it. But it's
tough, especially as an older adult.
Yeah. Oh, that's good for you.
It's exciting.
And then you're probably more aware of your surroundings and all the things that we need to be doing. I feel like that's probably one of the best things that women can do. It's not a 1 hour self-defense class.
Right.
It is a regularly scheduled, it's going to become a habit kind of thing.
Do you still practice?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. But I feel like, when I was there Monday, Wednesday, Friday for years.
Yeah.
And it's those things where I didn't realize it until afterwards, but Master Jacobs would literally, he changed the curriculum for my friend Sarah and I because he knew we were going to college. And so he would do self-defense things, like if somebody had our ponytail or if somebody.
Wow, nice.
And so we didn't realize it as kids, but now looking back, I'm like, that's why he did all those
and it's
things.
there, right? It's there.
And it is in concrete in there. So good for you. That's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah. What do your other mom friends say about the martial arts thing?
They're very supportive. So is my husband, I should say. Sometimes he gets a little worried that I'm going to break my arm or something, which is a possibility, but everybody has been really supportive.
That's
and
great.
they're super proud of me. I'm proud of myself. So
What belt level are you now?
I'm first degree, first level brown.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
That's exciting.
yep, and the next one is black. So
When is the test?
tentatively in October. So we'll see.
Okay. I'm making a note. I'm going to put it in my notes and follow up. That's exciting. I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
What is a big struggle that you're having right now at work, and how are you guys tackling it?
I think, okay, so we talked about this earlier, right? Creating well-rounded pre-construction folks, creating well-rounded estimators is really important. Not only in terms of types of projects we do, but Hill Wilkinson, we are a pretty diverse company. We have a wide range of projects from commercial office buildings, car dealerships, schools and churches, ISDs, manufacturing facilities, and so on and so forth. So we're really diverse. So we have the opportunity to provide a wide range of project types to our young estimators entering this field. As long as, and that's sometimes a challenge because most of our projects are negotiated. We are a relationship-driven contractor.
Right.
So sometimes our pre-construction durations last a long time because they're brought in pretty early.
Right.
So it's tough to, and then our estimators are building relationships with the design teams and engineers and owners. So you don't want to move them and, move them into a different project type and have to start building that relationship. But on the flip side, it's important because that's where you develop soft skills. Right. And I think that's always been a challenge. That will be a challenge because of the type of contractor we are. We are service driven. When a young estimator or even a mid-level estimator has built a relationship over a period of months and years, to pull them out and have them start afresh with a whole new mindset, right? Working with a board at a church or a school is very different than working for a commercial developer, right? Than working for a manufacturing facility that has different timelines, durations, and requirements. So that's always been a challenge. It will be a challenge. We're working through it. I think it'll help. I think, talking about this is a step forward and doing something, and we are trying to do something about it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I got a little head on my questions here because it says, what are some of your hobbies outside of work? So we heard about martial arts.
Yep.
We heard about Boy Scouts. Is there anything else on this list?
Boy Scouts is my son's hobby. Yes. But I did get inspired by you. I've started going to the gym.
Oh, good.
Which is, again, to find time is not easy, but I try to go at least 2 or 3 times a week.
That's great.
That's been, I would call it should not be a hobby. It should be a must do.
There you
but
go.
It's still, I try to do that.
Yeah.
And thank you I know you do a lot. So thanks for that talk.
Hey, no problem. No problem. I'm glad to hear it.
Yep.
It's good.
Me too.
What is a defining moment or a philosophy that you live by?
I think, over the years, I've always considered myself fortunate, lucky. We sometimes use that word loosely. But I've always considered myself good mentors, They've given me the time and information and knowledge whenever it's been there, whenever I've needed it. I've had, my parents have been there all my life, provided me with great advice. My husband has been there for me. He's, a rock in our family, I believe. But I also think over the years, I've always learned that it's not just luck, right? There's a famous quote that says, my husband has used it in the past, the harder I work, the luckier I seem to get.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think in the end, hard work,
Right.
there's no substitute for hard work.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really great. Who or what inspires you the most?
I mean, who or what inspires me the most? There have been several people that have inspired me over the years. As a young child, my grandparents were a big, huge influence. They were always there for us. My maternal grandparents lived with us, and my paternal grandparents, we would visit them during vacations and stuff like that. But they were a huge influence. My parents were always working. They were always there for us and very supportive. And that whole family network was a huge influence as I was growing up, in terms of the decisions I made and the help I got, and that has made me what I am today, I believe.
That's nice.
And then, of course, after that, my husband has been a big influence. He's been a guide. I think we're extreme opposites.
Okay.
I always tease that I always have 1 foot out, or maybe even 2 feet outside our house, and he's very homebound, and it's helped our family. He's been the rock, and I've been the floater, trying to do different things and try out different things. That's helped our relationships, and that's helped me try out different things.
Right.
I believe. And then, of course, my son. I think he challenges us every day, especially at this age as a preteen. I mean, I think influence it might be more of a challenge right now, but he's always testing us.
Yeah, I can only imagine when I hear some of these things, like with little kids, and then especially like middle school age kids, I'm like, oh boy, you guys have a lot going on here.
Exactly. And at work, I mentioned Kevin Sellers in the past. He was a big influence on me. He was my mentor in the beginning. Christy Attaway, I don't know if I mentioned her. I don't know if you know her, but she started off as an estimating coordinator in our office before I joined. So this was pre-2004. Then she moved into estimating soon after that, and then she had to move to. She got married and moved to Austin. She left Hill Wilkinson for some time and came back. And over the years, she's just an amazing person. She's been in pre-construction most of her career, but today she leads our Austin office. She's
great.
the person out there. She's been a huge influence, huge guide.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's always like just really heartwarming to hear all the stories that whenever I ask that question. Okay, we have a quick fire round.
Okay.
And I've never quit.
Okay.
So I'll keep asking even more questions.
Okay.
What is the last book that you read?
I'm still reading it.
Okay.
The book that you told me about, No Rules Rules.
Oh, okay.
I am reading it. Yes, the Netflix book. I'm still reading it. I'm
What do you
halfway
think?
through. It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
It's very interesting. There's some things that, I'm like, man, how do we even use
Where
this
do
in
you
my
even
company?
start?
Where do you start? Something that, that makes sense. It's kind of an interesting read. I might suggest it to some other people in my office.
Yeah.
Let's see, but it has been interesting.
I think there is definite, like, we could do this, we could do this.
Right.
I don't know about this. This might not apply to us, but I'm glad it's working for you. Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel. The other one I'm halfway through is Unreasonable Hospitality. I think that's a great read.
I just finished it.
What did you think?
I really liked it. So before you leave, I'm going to give you a book called Hug Your Customer. And that has kind of become the Carrco, I don't know, guidebook, I guess is what we're calling it.
Interesting. Okay.
And it was written a long time ago. And so it's basically the same book, different kind of outlook on it. And so the Hug Your Customer, it's all based on a very high-end clothing store. And so putting the notes in, this is the size they wear, this is their husband's name, how do we send him a birthday card? So those were a good pairing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked that book too. I did the audio version on it.
Me too. I've switched to audio. I've switched to audio. The book I always have always enjoyed was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. That's been my go-to book.
I feel like I've read that at some point in time, but I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
And I think it's an interesting read, right? You don't get it at first, but then I think the essence of the book is when you really, really want something and you put your heart into it, it's almost like everything comes into place to make you achieve it, to make the universe kind of make sure that you can meet your goals, but you've got to have your heart in it.
Right. I like that. That's good. What's your favorite quote?
We talked about earlier, the harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. That's been my thing, I think.
I like it. I feel like that needs to go up on our White Erase board. I think that might go there in the next hour. What's a skill you would like to learn?
I saw that question. I was like, man, what would I like to learn? And I think I would like to learn basic life skills. Like, I don't think I've really technically, I think I know it, but I've never changed a tire. On a car.
Okay.
I don't know if I know it or not.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to learn it.
Okay.
Someday it might come of use. Right? Some basic skills like that. Or maybe painting.
We put you to work over here. Are you busy in an hour? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Okay. That's an interesting. So kind of a little bit of just stuff that we just kind of take for granted.
I think so. I think stuff like that I would like to try and figure out because it's so easy as I get older, I'm like, let's just hire somebody. But what if I could do it myself?
Have you ever changed your own oil?
No, that's another thing I would love to try.
So my dad made me do that multiple times growing up. And it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. This is also when that car was from like the early 90s where there's just a couple things you have to do. And now things are so much fancier and different. Car work is a little different now. But I thought that I would be like, well, I'm going to save money and do this. But then you have to like dispose of the oil and blah. And I'm like, I'm just going to go the quick oil change. And
that's right. That's right.
It's easier. Let's just give them our money. But I think that it is interesting to learn how to do those things every once in a while.
Yes.
I like that.
And it's the satisfaction you get out of it.
Yeah. I have a young, she's probably in her mid-20s, and she's a civil engineer, or I'm sorry, a mechanical engineer. So like hands-on mechanical engineer. She's not just drawing it, but she likes to like tactile do things. And she has a group of girlfriends who they all like to work on cars. And so it's like every Tuesday they meet at your house, at somebody's house, and from 6 to 9, they all work on somebody's project car, and then everybody else is saving up money, and so by the time they're done helping you with this one, this girl has saved up money, and so then they all like go and help her with her car. And
neat.
I thought, I was like, it's kind of super interesting too, because they're like in their mid-20s and just kind of a niche group of girls that they've become friends with.
Build those bonds.
Let's see, what is the favorite city you have ever visited?
I'm going to say New York City.
Okay.
Now, I always say I don't think I'll ever want to live there because, like I said before, I grew up in a small town.
Right.
So I like living in a place with space and, and you have bigger homes and not live in apartment buildings. So I grew up in a small town. So I like living in Texas. But I love visiting New York City.
Yeah.
The vibe, the energy, the hustle bustle, and then you come back to this.
Yes, and then you get back to normal.
Yep.
So Yasmin, Javier's daughter, signed up to run the New York City Marathon, and she twisted my arm, not very much, and I signed up to do it too. So that will be my next trip to New York City in November.
In November. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, and I feel like that'll be we'll get a little too... I'll get a 26.2 mile tour of the city.
It's great.
But I think you'll get all the people and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
November will be great. It won't be hot because it does get humid and hot there.
I think the weather, hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather should be perfect.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, good for you.
Thanks. Let's see, what is the favorite construction project that you have been a part of?
I don't think I can answer that question with one project. I think for me, it's the type of projects that we do all the time. Most of our projects are service-based, relationship-driven projects. At Hill Wilkinson, they are all mostly construction management at risk projects. So we start off in the beginning. So what excites me is that those relationships that we can go at schematic design and sit with the whole design team and ownership and whoever else is involved.
Nice.
To help them through this project. Those are the kind of projects I love, I enjoy, and
I like that.
I mean, if I had to say about anybody new coming into this industry, would be just be curious, right? That's huge. Ask questions, be curious, try new things. If you're unsure of something, ask. And I think the most important thing is to be genuine, to be authentic, to be yourself. Because it's so easy to think, though, I need to be like that other person. And that just puts you out of that comfort zone, right? And it's okay. You might somebody else might be your role model, and that's fine. But you got to be true to yourself.
I like that a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people that go through that because they might go to a meeting and they see somebody who's really fancy and they don't feel like, well, I wasn't wearing the fanciest clothes. Like, what do I need to do? And I think everybody probably goes through that. Like, what do I need to do? And then hopefully they realize they just be yourself.
I bet you and I did the same thing. I'm out of place here. We got to change something.
Right.
But
And
then,
at the end of the day, let's just go back to who we are.
Right.